We have about 150 people connected on the Zoom, and I believe the tech team is putting this on as well on the live Facebook pages. So I don't know, Sishan, if this is being done. You're getting a lot of hi Vusi there on the chat. I can see we were doing a poll and we were saying, how many of you have seen Vusi before? 90% of them have been following you. They know who you are. So it's perfect. No big introductions for today, I think.
Absolutely. But, I'm really excited to talk a bit about, the stuff you and I have been doing in our partnership to help more and more, particularly African business owners, think about how do they make themselves globally competitive and give themselves the opportunity to compete and do business with, because, I keep making this point that the globe is the universe, and the whole world, if you think about it, actually, it's a village now. You can transact with anybody anywhere in the world, but you've got to think about how to do that. That's the important part, right?
100%. I think we have all learned a lot throughout this pandemic, and especially when it comes to how we operate, where do we set up, has really turned things upside down. And those who adapted are the ones that are winning.
So I've got to ask you this, because, you and I talk fairly often, and I check out a lot of the stuff that you're doing. You have been very, very busy. I was saying to my assistant Karen, I said, I think Lorenzo should just retire as CEO and become a model, because you're constantly taking pictures with this sheikh and that sheikh and this CEO and that CEO and the new deal. What's going on?
I know, yeah. We just pressed the throttle to the metal. We've been doing a lot these last couple of weeks, but it's just the nature of what's been happening for us. We've been so lucky to be in this place right now where it's become the center of the world in terms of people coming over, wanting to be part. It's been fairly open, Dubai. There are a few more flights. So for whoever has managed to maybe get out of Europe or certain parts of Africa, Asia, a lot of people are in Dubai right now. And that's why we've been so busy trying to cope with attending and making the most out of these opportunities.
Yeah. I'm waiting for them to, for Emirates to start flying again and for them to open up the borders again. I was chatting to my assistant about it just today, actually, and she was saying they said by the 20th of March, but we're waiting to hear, because I've got a whole global itinerary, as you know, that I need to take care of. One of the things, though, Lorenzo, that I'm noticing is there's a lot happening in terms of particularly African businesses setting up in Dubai. I was in a Dubai Chamber of Commerce conversation, I want to say about 2 or 3 weeks ago. And, the CEO of the Dubai Chamber of Commerce was in the conversation with some of his lead, and the rest of us were just, entrepreneurs, business owners, business leaders from the rest of the continent. So they had, guys from Angola, Zambia, South Africa, Niger, Nigeria, Ghana, Kenya, Tanzania, really talking about how do we integrate the GCC economy with the African economy, and how do we bolster trade? Because, from your part of the world, you guys need trade. From our part of the world, we need platform. And so those two things kind of really work together. Have you seen an increase in the volume between the UAE and South Africa?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I think there have been several initiatives that have been announced. I was reading some of the news. I think in 2020, the UAE unveiled $500 million for a consortium of African investments for development in youth and digitalization. We are aware that the UAE has invested massively in some of South African projects. I remember in Cape Town on your side of the waterfront, and I understand that some of the hotels there are owned by Dubai investors and Dubai investment. So the UAE, and you're rightly saying, the GCC countries have taken an important interest in Africa as a place for investment, mainly a lot in food security, in agriculture-related products. This is what the GCC countries need heavily. But we've also seen a lot of new entrepreneurs and new investors coming over to the GCC and to Dubai, to Saudi Arabia, to expand their horizons and saying, look, what is it that we can do being from Africa into Dubai, and as a launch pad to the rest of the world from here.
Talk to me a bit about Nigeria. It looks to me like the Nigerians have also picked up. It's almost as if, here's my sense of it, right? My sense of it is, 10 years ago, if you were thinking about setting up in Dubai, you were definitely frontier outlier. 5 years ago, if you were thinking about setting up in Dubai, you were innovative. Now, if you're not thinking about setting up, you're just stupid. It's just like you're not paying attention. But I want to talk a bit about Nigeria, because I'm seeing a lot of my Nigerian brothers and sisters who've really optimized the platform and the opportunity to trade from Dubai. Are you seeing that? Are you seeing them operating from Dubai, accessing particularly the exports coming out of Nigeria and using that as a platform to access markets in other parts of the world?
100%. Nigeria has been a very important partner for Dubai and the UAE for many years. Nigeria, with their sort of important economic background in terms of being an oil-producing country, had links with Dubai and Abu Dhabi, also as being, Abu Dhabi particularly being an oil-producing country. But we've seen a lot of Nigerian wealthy investors coming over, investing in real estate, in property, and also taking advantage of exporting what Nigeria has into the Middle East. We've seen a lot of Nigerians making Dubai their new home. We've seen a lot of Instagrammers, famous Nigerians setting up here. And something that I've seen even in the last couple of months, all the guys that are involved in crypto nowadays and Bitcoiners, and these guys have taken over the city. You go to the restaurants and to the lobbies of the hotels, and all you hear is these guys, and in particular in Nigeria. So Nigeria is going through an interesting transformation when it comes to their digitalization of their currencies, payments, gateways, cryptocurrencies, and these guys are jumping on this train like I've never seen. So there's a lot of Nigerian crypto digital guys hanging around in Dubai as of now.
Let me make this comment very quickly to the people who are joining us in this conversation and are watching, because I think sometimes this point is lost on a lot of people. So I want to make it here. One of the things I've learned over the years is that wealth is created at the frontier, right? What that means is if you want to create wealth, you have to go to the frontier of anything. You've got to go to the frontier of technology. You've got to go to the frontier of markets. You've got to go to the frontier of products. So if you're not at the frontier of something, by definition, you're not creating wealth because you're not doing something new, right? And that's what a lot of the guys don't understand. Wealth is created at the frontier and it's preserved, kind of at the structured, well-known, stable markets. But if you really think about it, just between me and you, when Jeff Bezos started Amazon, online retail was frontier. When Zuckerberg, was founding Facebook, social media was still a frontier. Yeah. When Elon Musk was buying Tesla, electric cars, frontier. Yeah. When Rockefeller was getting into oil and then the railroad business, both oil and railroads were frontier in the US at the time. Yeah. And I think a lot of guys don't understand that. The importance of making sure that you are operating at the frontier if you want to create wealth. Because if you're not operating at the frontier, then you're always going to eat the spoils that are left by the people who were at the frontier that have captured all of the opportunity.
It's mainly even being an early adopter to
100%.
all of these new things, all of these new technologies. Nowadays, if you're not looking at TikTok, at Clubhouse, if you don't have a Binance account and you don't understand what's happening with cryptos and blockchain, if you're not putting your head in these spaces, you're going to be left out. I went into a dinner yesterday, and I'm 46 years old. I didn't understand 80% of what these guys were talking about, NTFs and artificial data and stuff, and you start being left out. And if you're not getting into these conversations, into these networks, you're going to lose it. And the important thing that what you said, when you're an early adopter, margins are much better. People are not competing so much on low margins. Exactly. Many of
Exactly.
us, our challenge is now we're in industries where there's so much competition.
100%.
Margins have dropped. We're all killing each other for a 5%. These guys, they will charge you 15% interest on a transaction, and nobody cares because the margins and the flow of money is so big.
I mean, you've absolutely nailed it. You've absolutely nailed it. And so this conversation first about make sure that you're at the frontier, for me, links nicely to the work you and I are doing about helping entrepreneurs access the geography of the frontier. And here's why that's important. If this was the 1990s and you wanted to be in the heart of technological innovation, you went to Silicon Valley. You went and bought a property in Palo Alto. At the time, you could afford it. Now you won't. You went and bought a property in Palo Alto and you moved to Silicon Valley because that was the frontier of technology. If you wanted to get into motor vehicle manufacturing in the 1970s or 80s, you moved to Tokyo, Japan, or Osaka. That's where you went because that was the bedrock of where all of the technologies were coming to make cars more efficiently, cheaply, and distribute them more affordably for the rest of the world. That's how that went. If you wanted to become a watch manufacturer in the 1930s, 40s, and 50s, right around the time of the World War, you went to Switzerland or you were somewhere in Europe because that's where the stuff was happening. So what I think people in this conversation need to understand is the conversation is not about promoting a geography. The conversation is about saying, if you want to be at the frontier, 80% of the formula is physically being there. There's so much to be said. You know, yesterday I was having a conversation with a young lady that we just recruited into the firm. She lives in Silicon Valley, by the way. So I'm talking to her. It's late at night. You know, for her, it's like early in the morning and we're talking. And this is the global world now, right? She's busy building an accelerator program for us. And I want you to think about it this way. She lives in Silicon Valley, is building an accelerator program for us here. Well, by the time she's done, I'll be 18 years ahead of my market because I can access her skill, right? And we're having this conversation. And I said to her, so what's it like? I mean, I've been to Silicon Valley, but I was like, what's it like living there? Here's what she says to me. She says, Vusi, my phone dropped and something cracked. She says, the Apple head office is a block down the road. Yeah. I walked to the Apple head. In my head, I was going, wait, what? Like, what do you mean the Apple head? I was like, so wait, you're trying to tell me what Tim Cook has? She was like, yeah, right down the road from me, right? And so, you know, this is one of the things about give yourself the right opportunity just to make sure that you are in the geography of the frontier, which brings me to this conversation about the geography. For me, the reason Dubai is and has always been attractive, the reason our partnership made sense, the reason us getting into business together made sense, was because geographically, if I'm in Dubai, hold on, I'm right in the middle of the world. It's like I'm 6 hours away from New York. I'm 4 hours away from London. I'm another 6 hours away from, you know, kind of Eastern Europe. I'm 5 hours away from Nigeria, and I'm, you know, 10 hours, if that, from South Africa. So it's like, if I'm there, I'm actually right in the middle of the world. Are you getting a sense that people are understanding the geographic advantage of being based there?
That's such a good point, Vusi. I mean, there's so many elements that combine to what you are discussing. Issues through with the time zone. We're in a place that we are in the middle of everything. You want to connect and talk to people. You are 2-3 hours difference or 4 hours difference with London on a phone call. You don't want to be, you know, the Americans and them, they have it difficult because time-wise, you know, you need to be either waking up really early or very night. Then you want to take a flight and you want to go to Africa from New York. I mean, I've been all over Africa. I've seen America itself doesn't have such a big influence from a normal one-on-one type of businesses. We're talking, the US has a strong influence on a government level, but you don't see Americans. You don't see American people. So what I'm saying, this sort of geographic distance makes Dubai such a good place to be and operate from. So time difference and time location, geographic location, Emirates airline that it has direct flights with so many countries around the world. the sense of the fact that Dubai itself has become such a hotspot of receiving all these entrepreneurs and business people that they come in for a week or two. People even come in 2-3 weeks, they do their thing, they go back home. So you have so many options. You can make it your home, you can make it your second home, you can set up a company here and operate globally, but there's so many angles to it, and you will never lose. You can have a company here, and your office location, your address is in Dubai. That gives you already another sort of cachet to things. And what you were saying earlier, now distance is not a excuse anymore. You got people in Africa. We were saying you can connect with someone in Silicon Valley, in China, in Japan, and really advance and communicate with all these people and learn about what are the next big things. It's not like anymore that it would be so difficult. So imagine having a Dubai address, you're writing from people saying, hey, I'm based in Dubai. It's a different approach.
Yeah, absolutely. There's one of the conversations, and I don't know if the people in this particular conversation, with 207 participants with us on the Zoom, my team tells me just over 1,000 with us on Facebook. But one of the conversations Africa is locked in, Lorenzo, it pisses me off to no end, is jobs. I can say this, just if you have a child around you, just cover their ears. But fuck, South Africans are obsessed with this idea of jobs. It's like, so it's, I need a place to work, I need a boss, I need a table and a desk, I need somebody to tell me, somebody must tell me what time to show up for work, what time to leave, when I must take lunch, and it's like you're an adult. This isn't high school, man. Figure it out, right?
Yeah.
So we're obsessed with this like dogmatic 20th century idea of what a job means.
Yeah.
And here's why that's important. South Africa is now at 32.5% unemployment rate by the narrow definition.
Yeah.
For the South Africans watching this conversation thinking that's bad, Nigeria published their numbers yesterday. They're above 33%.
Wow.
33%. So Kulegani Mkiza says, Vusi, I'm afraid of taking risks. Let me tell you what the risk is. The risk is giving yourself an opportunity to only apply your skill in a geography where 32% of the people who are still looking for work have it. And by the broad definition, it's 40%, which means even for those who've given up, 2 out of 5, 4 out of 10 can't get work anyway. That's the real risk. I want to talk, and this is why, just a second point to this, and you and I were talking about this in our conversation earlier today. By the year 2040, Africa actually will surpass India and China as the highest generator of jobs. So it's like on the one end, we've got this massive unemployment problem, and on the other end, we've got this huge job opportunity. The difference between those two, as you and I both know, is that the jobs we're going to be creating by 2030, 2040 are not the jobs we're creating now, right? So that's the first conversation. If you're a skilled person, a skilled professional, you obviously want to be in the place where you can access the best frontier training in your particular technical area, right? So that's the first consideration. The second consideration is that if you're an entrepreneur, you only can take benefit of the upside if you allow yourself the global platform to get best practice so that in your local market, you are at the forefront. I'm going to say it again because it's so important. Global best practice makes you forefront in the local market. So the reason you actually want to think about, hold on, do I want to be based at, I don't know, West Street in Santon, or do I want to be based in Kenyatta Street in Kenya, or, Mombasa Road? Geez, everybody who's been to Nairobi can tell you stories about the traffic in Mombasa Road. The reason you want to start thinking about where am I based is because the real question is not where am I based. The real question is where I'm based giving me the opportunities to access the skills of the future, access the talent that's going to help me scale and build my business, and access the opportunities that are going to allow me to leapfrog the development of my competitors so that when I launch in a local market, I'm 10 years ahead of the game just by being where I'm based. And so the question I want to ask you is, I know anecdotally of friends of mine, accountants, business analysts, consultants, real professionals who got on a plane, bought that DBX ticket, they never came back. Or is it DXB? I think it's DBX or DXB, but they never came back. Are you seeing a lot of that? Are you seeing a lot of guys getting on the plane, coming to your part of the world and going, this is going to give me the right place to build up my skill set so that I'm competent to build the future of Africa?
100%. And look, Vusi, you are an evidence of this very same topic. You took things, you learned things from other countries, from the global community, and you applied them into South Africa. You became the first most well-known mentor and coach in South Africa. And there was nobody doing this, but you've seen this outside. So the people that have this outward look into things, and you realize, you said, I need to invest on digitalization. I need to invest on my image, on who I am. I need to reach out to people. Now the opportunities go to you. You don't go to the opportunities. People come to you. We came to you and gave you this opportunity and said, Vusi, can you please be our partner in Africa for expanding Creative Zone? Because we realized, this happened because of your attitude towards the global world. The same, the 300 people that we have connected, plus the 1,000 on Facebook, they need to think this way. They need to open themselves to the world and say, what can I take from the outside world and bring it back to my local market? And earlier you were saying, it's not even Africa. I know Sub-Saharan Africa. You guys don't go further than Sub-Sahara. For you is South Africa, Namibia, Botswana, and you start getting to Tanzania and you say, that's too far, you know? Right.
I think you've absolutely nailed it. There's another complexion to this conversation, and I was hoping that you can help me kind of think through this, right? But there's a long history actually there's a long history between Africa, and I'll use that term broadly, the UAE and Europe. Now, most of the people in the conversation are not aware, but there's actually long historical links where African goods met with European demand was in the UAE. So it's not like what we're doing here is the first of its kind. We're actually replicating a model that yours and my forefathers were doing 400-500 years ago. And that means then that there is a real established kind of culture of people understanding how goods move from one part of the world to another part of the world. So here's the question I wanted to ask you. Just in our experience of us dealing together, the number of times I've been to Dubai, and there are people who go to Dubai on holiday. I'm the guy that goes to Dubai on business. It's such a different experience. I remember the first time I went to Dubai, I couldn't believe how cosmopolitan it was. So you get to the hotel, the lady helping you is from Sri Lanka. You go to the bar lady helping you is from Moldova. You're sitting at the restaurant, and the waiter that's helping you, he's from Kuala Lumpur. You're just like, hold on. It's a village of foreigners for everybody, actually, right? And the question I wanted to ask you is that important? Because I would imagine if I'm thinking about moving from where I'm comfortable and where there are people around me I know and cultures that are established and the language I can understand, and I'm thinking about going somewhere else, will I find a community of people who are like me? What would you say to that?
100%. That's the very good thing about Dubai and the UAE. Everybody is welcome. Here, there is no issues of religion, of culture, of color, of race. People are welcome. And I think this comes from being ingrained in their culture. People from the Emirates, the Emirati people, 30 years ago, there was nothing here. There was nothing. So the Emirati people are the most humble and welcoming people I have ever met in my life. When I first came here in 2005, the only reason why I loved it so much and I stayed here ever since then was because when you were meeting high government officials from the Ministry of Economy, the Dubai Chamber of Commerce, Hamad Bouamin that you met in your event, these people receive you with open arms in
100%.
such a humble way, and they will open your doors and they will be so nice and friendly. So the little trick was this that I learned very quickly, me being from Argentina, and I learned to these people, the more you give to them, the nicer that you are, and you show them that you're here to build on the relationship and to give rather than here to take, they will give you 10 times back more than you came asking for.
Wow. Wow. So it's a reciprocated relationship. There's a question here from Heather. I think it's a very good question, and I'd like to hear your answer. I'll offer my response first. Her name is Heather Mavunga. She asks, she says, Vusi, how do you manage money? How do we manage our money across different markets? By different markets, I suppose she means different currencies and different geographies, which would of course mean in different countries. She says, what's the best bank and how do you do this? So Heather, first, let me just say that this is not financial advice. I want to be clear that what you should do, absolutely upfront. Yeah. It's not financial advice, but it's financial advice. But it's not. But, I just want to be clear that the first thing that you should do is you should probably talk to your banker. They would be the best person to help you understand how do you move money across markets. But this is another conversation about technology, right? Because I know people right now who are moving millions and it's not on the grid. This is precisely why governments are scrambling to try and understand this thing called cryptocurrencies and alternative currencies and blockchain. It's because money is moving from one part of the world to the other part of the world. Just very quickly, let me just say this, Heather. Forex, foreign exchange, is the largest flow of capital for the globe. So if you look at how capital flows, it flows into equities, it flows into property, it flows into cash, goes into bonds, it goes into the alternative asset classes, private equity, venture capital. Forex is bigger than all of those combined. Yeah. Because how do you think you facilitate global trade when countries are having to move goods and close out their balance of payments? How do you think you're doing it? You're using foreign exchange to do it. Correct. So governments all over the world are actually scrambling, going, hold on, we can't have a threat to this asset class called Forex because we earn money from it. The banks pay us taxes, we charge interest when money is moving in and out countries and fulfillment fees. So the fact that civilians are now using alternative ways to move money is a big thing for them. But what I would say to you is talk to somebody. Lorenzo, would you offer Heather any advice? Would you have any thoughts on what she would do?
Look, I'm very passionate about this topic. It's precisely on this issue on how things are changing and things are being transformed by the day. I mean, you are absolutely right by saying, even nowadays, I was with my friends. I only got into crypto and trading in between exchanges. And this guy did a transfer on my wallet, and it showed in 3 seconds after he put the money. When with a bank transfer, it would take me 3-4 days for that money to be. He took my link, my Tether link. He put it on his Binance account. Boom! In 6 seconds, the money was in my wallet. I was like, this is crazy. So here's the thing, and this is not that we are suggesting anything illegal or not. People are setting up companies and are becoming residents of Dubai because they can take their crypto money accounts into the banking system in their local bank in Dubai, not in their local bank in Sweden that will charge them 60% interest from that money entering the banking system.
Yeah.
So, and there is a very clear thing. Countries and nations from around the world are all competing for capital. So whoever is adapting faster to this revolution, and the ones that are saying, you know what, this is an unstoppable force, and are welcoming this kind of movement of capitals, they're the ones that are going to win. So Dubai right now, it's open, and this is what a lot of companies and individuals are doing. They're using Dubai as a place for their financial assets to be hosted here, investing in real estate, and operating from Dubai to the rest of the world.
So, for me, there is a separate question here, and it's the very first question actually from Anonymous. It reads, what is a nomad entrepreneur? And that probably is where you and I should have started, right? So I'm happy to get your thoughts on this, Lorenzo, but, kind of top of mind for me, a nomad entrepreneur is somebody who can operate anywhere in the world, sell to anyone in the world, and not have to worry about the limitations of where in the world they are as a platform for where they can trade. And to do that, there's certain underlying things that you need, right? So, and the first in this conversation about banking and money is you need to be in a geography that's got a reliable banking solution. It's got to be a competent, reliable banking solution, and that's rare. And it's even more rare to be in a competent, reliable banking solution geography where the tax laws are efficient for you to try and create wealth, right? What else would you say is a consideration of what makes a nomad entrepreneur?
This is such a good topic, Vusi. Again, yeah, you said it right. The banking system, having access to a good financial hub that is competitive, that is open to all these kind of transactions. At the top of the list is a zero tax jurisdiction. You want to be based in a place where you're charged the least as possible in terms of income tax, corporate tax. Dubai is a 0% tax jurisdiction. You want an efficient and non-bureaucratic place. You want somewhere that is not heavy in terms of policies and the paperwork that you need to maintain your business. Access to talent is an important one. You want to be surrounded by the right type of people that you can partner with, people that you can hire to grow your business.
Can I just pause you on that? And I'm sure you've got other notes. So just keep the other notes that you've got at the back of your head. I want us to finish that question. What is a nomad entrepreneur? And for the guys joining us in this conversation, I'm hoping you're taking notes. But I want to just talk a little bit about this access to talent thing, because in my mind, that's probably the single foremost consideration when you're thinking about building a business. When you're thinking about building a business, the reason earlier I spoke about where you are geographically so important is because where you are geographically talks about what skills you can access with the least friction to access those skills. There are people watching this conversation, Lorenzo, you will not believe it, who have ideas for building apps, but they can't build the app because they don't have the technical skill of how to code. And they can't find a co-founder who's a tech developer, because all the tech developers work for the large consulting firms, the major audit firms, and the banks and the insurance companies. They're getting paid $100,000 a year. He's not leaving that job to come to your little startup with your app, right? And on top of that, if these guys want to go and build this app, it leaves them only with the computer shops where they go to a dev house and they go, I have this idea. The dev house makes them write a scope document. They send them an invoice for $100,000, which means before you've even launched, before you have a minimum viable product, you've invested $100,000 US, not Zimbabwean. That's an important consideration. You've invested $100,000 into building an app that may or may not work. And what I've seen with guys who are based in the right place is this thing about access to talent. Means there's someone you can call. There is a hotspot you can access. There is a shared office place where you can set up, where you meet someone who's got a perfect set of skills that connects with your vision, and you can build the next Paystack. You can build the next Stripe. You can build the next M-Pesa, but you need the technical skill. So I just wanted to make the point about how important it is to give yourself the opportunity to make sure that you have access to the right skills. Yeah. And I want to arc back to the comment I made earlier about the number of my friends I've seen leave here, top tier guys, really top tier guys, and move in particular to Dubai, but generally around kind of that Gulf area. But in particular, Dubai seems to be the place that they like. And so the question I wanted to ask you very quickly, just on this access to talent thing, is I understand how important it is because I've built businesses, so I get it. You understand how important it is because you build businesses, you're building a business, you're a global CEO, so you get it. Why do you think many entrepreneurs don't understand the importance of this access to talent thing? What's the thing that they're not seeing?
This is one of the major faults that why a lot of startups and entrepreneurs fail. They go into this journey thinking that they need to do certain things, but they miss out on so many of these good tips that you're giving. And this point that you're giving is such a good one, an important one. And it's happening in Dubai now. And I wanted to share it. Like, if you're an entrepreneur, you're a startup, you need to be open-minded to go out and meet people that have projects and say, what is it that I have to give? Nowadays, there are a lot of platforms that are all about finding partners, finding collaborations, and say, right, I want to develop this app, but I'm not an app guy. And you will find a guy that will want to come and join with you and say, look, I'm willing to take 20% of your business and I will develop the entire app. And another guy is the marketing genius, and he knows how to do your whole marketing strategy and reach the people and say, and that guy wants to take another 20%. And this is how you build projects nowadays, guys. This is how you connect with people that will put together. So for example, recently as a company, we invested with one company that is called My Ciara. I'm giving an idea now for African entrepreneurs. This company raised about $650,000 on a seed fund recently, and it's all about a concierge business for cars. These guys will wash your car, renew your car, service your car, do everything on an app, put petrol in your car, and all you need to do is pay a subscription, an X amount of money every month, and all these services are covered, right? So, but it's all about collaborations, partnerships. We came in with this company, because we had something to give, which is our database, our connections. So I'm saying nowadays it's all about this. Today I met another guy that is building a platform called Encore that is it's a rewards system. He had a developer, but he needed somebody in marketing. Anyhow, that's the tip. You need to go out there, meet people with ideas, and see what it is that you have to give into that equation.
Yeah, I think you nailed it. I think you absolutely nailed it. And I can't stress enough how important it is. I think we've said a lot here, by the way. You're gonna, I see that yours and my team is recording this. I really think it's important that we take it and make it available live on our other channels and on YouTube, because the value of this is it's monumental. And we've said a lot here. We've shared a lot of value. And for the guys watching this, I hope you guys are understanding just the amount of value that you're getting. But of all of the things that have been said here, if you don't get this importance of access to talent thing, doesn't matter what you're doing, you're not going to succeed. I always say to people, what makes Brazil, and I know you're Argentinian, so you're not going to like this, but what makes Brazil the greatest soccer nation in the world? What makes New Zealand the greatest rugby nation in the world? What makes the United States the greatest ice hockey nation in the world, the greatest American football nation in the world? It's all about averages and talent. Think about it this way. This is the best way I can explain it. The United States has 330 million people living in it. It's got the world's largest middle class at just over 210 million, right? A middle class larger even than China. But the people watching this conversation, to put it to you differently, the size of the middle class in the United States alone is about the size and the population of Nigeria. Nigeria is the second most populous Black nation country. So if you're looking for countries in the world with the largest amount of Black African people, the first is Nigeria, actually, and then the second is Brazil. But the middle class of the US is about the population of Nigeria. But the US still gets clobbered. They get destroyed at the Olympics, at the 4, 2, and 100 meters by Jamaica every time.
Yeah.
And Jamaica is only 3 million people, and it's not even in the top 10 wealthiest nations in the world. So you're going to sit there going, what the hell is that about? It's all about access to talent.
Yeah.
That's what it's about. It's about the genetic makeup. It's about the national culture. It's about how those people, there's this incredible book I read about how the Jamaicans have a culture of breeding sprint athletes. Like from when the child is 4 years old, they're having meets. They have this national championship, literally called the championship. Lorenzo, you're going to love this. And kids as young as 8 years old run at this championship. It's a national championship. It attracts between 40 and 60,000 spectators.
Wow.
And then 8-year-old kids are lining up at the 100 meters to run.
Yeah.
Why is that important? Because by the time Usain Bolt is 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, running at the Olympics, and there's 40,000 people around him, it ain't a thing. He's been doing it since he was 8 years old, right? And that's the thing about access to talent. Guys, you give yourself the opportunity to be at the right place with the right people. I cannot make that point enough. It's the single most important consideration, is making sure that you're at the right place with the right people. There's one more thing I want you to talk to me about, Lorenzo, is, so there's a lot that's been happening around these virtual licenses, right? These kind of virtual licenses for operating a business in your part of the world, what they call these e-residences. Just for the guys watching this conversation, tell us a bit about that. What is that?
Yeah, and maybe I will also ask my team to include the link. We have a link with a landing page that has a bit of the full information. People that want to learn more about this topic, I will explain, but we're willing to send you an entire PDF. So if our team can include the link, if you fill in the form, we'll send you a full PDF with all the steps on how you can set up in Dubai, become a nomad entrepreneur, and all these tips that we're giving. So Sishan, if you guys can put in the chat the link. But basically, you're absolutely right. And links to the entire conversation. Dubai has recognized this. Dubai said, we want to be a hub of entrepreneurship and of human capital. We want the brightest minds of the world to come to Dubai, even to the point that they created a new program that is a 10-year residency program for selected people. If you excel in sports, in business, in culture, they will give you a 10-year residency visa. They're willing to make you a resident of the country. Now they even opened their citizenship program. This was unheard of. People are becoming citizens of the UAE now through some special programs that you have to comply with, of course, but for you to become part of sort of this economy, there are very flexible ways. You can set up a company that is called a virtual office type of company. It's a very simple steps. It takes about 2-3 days to set up and get a license. With this license, you're allowed to organize your residency visa for you and your family. So imagine now you're a resident of Ghana, or you're a citizen of Ghana, Nigeria, South Africa, and you want to have a new residency in Dubai. You will come here, you don't need a visa, you're able to travel in and out of the country. You have benefits of using the sort of infrastructure. You're a resident of the country, like the same I am, but I've been here 15 years. So you set up your company, you become a resident because of owning this company. Being a resident, you're able to open a bank account, a personal bank account, and a company bank account. And as I said, you and your whole family become a resident. Now you have a company in Dubai that you can operate around the world, whether you're an e-commerce company based in Ghana or anywhere. You can use your Dubai company to invoice your clients, 0% tax. So this has a cost of about $6,000, give or take. That includes the company formation, the banking support, the visa for the main investor, and then we can help with the rest of the investors and families. So, I mean, I know that there are programs nowadays, become a resident of Portugal, and you need to invest like 280,000 euros in buying an apartment. I mean, right. So, you know, to anybody that wants to learn more about this program, in that link, you can fill in your details. We'll send you the full description on how it is. And we partner with Vusi on this because Vusi is into this journey. He's looking how to operate more from Dubai to the rest of Africa, to the rest of Asia. And we saw this opportunity. And many of you, I'm sure, on the call are going through a similar journey.
Absolutely. I mean, there's, you know, you and I could keep going. Our time is up, but there's so much here. There's one last thing I want to ask you. Heather asks the comment, and I think it's an important comment. She says, Heather, thank you, by the way, for all your questions. We appreciate them. She's asked quite a few, you know, but she says, I've moved from Zimbabwe recently where you can't keep money in the bank, so it's time. Thank you for the financial advice, guys. So thank you, Heather, for that. There's another question from Linda. Oh, thank you, Linda, for joining us, who says, does this mean that the current trade blocks like, you know, the Africa Free Trade Agreement are no longer relevant? Well, I would say this, and I don't know how you feel about it, but I think the more and more I see the globalization of markets, and the globalization of markets, by the way, is nothing more than the globalization of real power, as Petty Ashton says. But the more and more I see the globalization of markets, the more I realize that governments themselves are recognizing that this idea of this thing called the nation state and this idea of this thing called, the local currency and this massive, I've got to tell you, I've got a client that's based in the US. I'm not going to tell you who they are. They paid me a substantial sum of money, probably about 2 weeks ago. Hasn't cleared yet. I don't know what the problem is. My bank hasn't phoned me. I can't take a Forex cover because I don't know. It's just like, and the more and more I see this stuff, I'm going, now there surely must be a more efficient way for us to build businesses. And so I think that that's going to be, more and more how we do business. Finally, Lorenzo, before I let you go, you've said we're going to share the link with the guys. And what we'll do is when we make this video available on YouTube, we'll edit into it a tab or a click button so that the guys can kind of click on it and follow through and go to, the platform where they can join us. But the final question I have for you, and this is a personal question. 15 years ago, you took the decision to leave your own country and move to Dubai. Why?
My God, it goes so good with this forum today. I was in Tanzania.
Wow.
And I was working in producing a campaign to promote the country for investors, but I was representing an American TV station called ABC Television, American Broadcasting Corporation. And I was meeting the president, it was President Mkapa at that time, and the Prime Minister, Nyerere, and they told me, American television, very good, but we are more interested in this new place, Dubai, and also because Tanzania, being a Arabic Muslim country, they had some connections. And they told me, why don't you go over there, have a look, and you tell us. And I ended up coming here in 2005. I fell in love with the place. I organized for them the first Tanzania UAE investment forum. And ever since then, I've done the same with so many countries in South Africa, Namibia, Botswana. I traveled all over Africa, linking Africa to Dubai, to the UAE, to the GCC. So that's why I'm so passionate about this topic of bringing Africa and the GCC countries together, because I see the enormous potential that this has.
Brilliant. Last and closing comment, Darlington Makovere says, hi, Vusi, I'm a student based in Cyprus. I have a startup and I want to find out how best I can set up my business for global market. Darlington, I'm going to say this to you. The best time to think about giving yourself the least friction route, right, to scale and grow your business globally is at the beginning. Don't do what I did. Don't wait until you've built this massive thing and now you got to figure out, how do I take the whole thing and move it to another part of the world? Because that, as you know, Lorenzo, you'll know because your team has been helping me with it. It's like an administrative nightmare, kind of figuring out, so where do you keep the administration, the financial administration, the operations, the legal, how do you do all of it, right? The best advice I can give you, Darlington, is right now at the very beginning of your journey, hit the link, follow through, talk to the team, and see if they can help you. My brother, it's been so good to connect again. I know that you and I have a business catch up. I think our team is busy setting something up. I'm looking forward to it. But I think to everybody else that's joined us in this conversation, we've got another one of these coming up in about 3 weeks to a month or so. Is that right?
Correct. Yeah.
Brilliant. Thanks, man. I really appreciate your time. I know that it's late there. It's 7 o'clock here, so it's almost 9 o'clock that side. Give the missus my regards and say thanks to the family for allowing you to join us.
Thank you, Vusi. It's such a pleasure always to be here with you. I look forward to doing a lot more with you and with all your network and the people in all over the world that they're connecting today. Thank you so much.
We're going to change the world. To everybody that's joined us in this conversation, thank you so much. Go and enjoy your evenings. Cheers.
Bye-bye.